The moment she steps out of the car, tension ripples through the entire office. Assistants frantically prepare San Pellegrino water and fashion magazines. Cluttered conference tables must be cleared. Slippers swapped for stilettos. Light makeup hastily reapplied. Half-eaten breakfast tossed immediately. In the lobby, employees instinctively scatter. If someone enters the elevator before her, they quickly exit on their own, yet makes you feel worthless. Never acknowledges anyone at work. Assistant greets, only to receive bags and coats dumped wordless by a barrage of urgent demands. The assistant's resigned despair says it all. Yet despite this nightmare boss, countless girls dream of working for her. Rumor is, survive 1 year as her assistant, and any magazine will fight to hire you. But almost no one lasts that long. Many quit or get fired within days. New graduates are fearless, hoping for a journalism career. Andy audaciously interviews for the position. Miranda priestly reigns over global fashion. Her glance dictates trends. Andy's never read their magazine, knows nothing about fashion, or Miranda's legend. Before Andy finishes speaking, Miranda dismisses her. Andy knows it's over before it began. She gave a bitter smile and turned to leave, yet her heart clung to the chance. I may not be model thin or conventionally beautiful, and I'm clueless about fashion, but I'm a quick learner with a strong work ethic, smart and capable. Before she could finish, Miranda was already buried in her next task. Just as a dejected Andy reached the lobby, someone called out to her. The boss decided to hire this self-proclaimed quick learner, though the pay was laughably low, barely covering rent. Still, she celebrated her first real paycheck. With friends, a fashion-savvy friend warned, "That boss of yours? The devil wears Prada." Andy brushed it off until 6 a.m. when her phone screamed to life. Rushing into the office, she found every employee, Miranda included, already deep in the trenches. As second assistant, her world became a hurricane of errands and nonstop calls. Multitasking became survival. Missing a call, career suicide. She and Emily played relay, one always chained to the desk. No bathroom breaks if the other wasn't back. Beyond the relentless grind, Andy endured snickers at her frumpy outfits. Even lunch portions drew judgmental stares. But the true torture? Navigating the legendary terror. Who hired her? Miranda Priestley herself. The editor-in-chief never learned her name, barking that new girl instead. Her commands came laced with barbs and sarcasm, dumping impossible tasks in rapid-fire succession. Questions were forbidden, confusion meant figuring it out or facing extinction. Fortunately, there was no infighting among staff, because one person's mistake meant disaster for everyone. So Emily often went all out to back her up. But on this day, Annie still made a rookie mistake. While Miranda was choosing a belt for a dress, a staff member held two options, unsure which to pick. Hearing this, Annie couldn't help but chuckle. To her, the belts looked identical. She couldn't grasp why it was such a dilemma. Noticing this, Miranda launched into her lesson. Years ago, cerulean blue emerged on the runway. Later, it became passé in high fashion, yet elite trends trickled down to mainstream. Eventually, it became a discount item you picked at some bargain bin, like that blue sweater you're wearing. You think you chose this freely? But it was selected for you by people in this room years ago. Miranda's words ignited Andy's competitive drive. From then on, work was no longer just a job. It became a battle to win Miranda's approval. Each morning, obeying Miranda's demands, Andy raced across New York, fetching breakfast, getting cars fixed, picking up packages, walking dogs. The editor's assistant became a glorified errand girl. Miranda never got her name right. Just tossed coat and bag on her desk daily. Andy spun like a whip top nonstop, day to night, hoping this would lead to her dream journalism job. So she kept putting up with it, finally reaching a weekend when Miranda traveled, and he could finally breathe freely. Her visiting dad slipped her some cash first. It serves as a temporary solution, but it also reveals his concerns about Annie's situation, because he often has to stay up until 2 a.m. just to receive updates about his daughter. He can't comprehend why Annie would choose such a demanding job. After all, you graduated with honors and have exceptional writing talent. You could have pursued further studies at Stanford, yet now you're essentially working as a glorified personal assistant, earning a meager salary while being run ragged every single day. Before he can finish explaining to her father, her boss calls again, demanding a solution since all flights are grounded due to the storm. But Miranda must attend her daughter's performance tomorrow morning. She insists on finding a way to fly back tonight, ordering Annie to get her a plane immediately. An impossible demand, but ignoring her hungry father, Annie scrambles to help, exhausting every airline contact and personal connection. She tries every conceivable approach that night, but all efforts prove futile. Come Monday, Miranda summons Annie. Surprisingly, she doesn't yell. Instead, she icily explains why she hired her. I thought you were different from those pretty, empty-headed girls. Turns out you're not just overweight, you're just as clueless. The brutal words crush Annie's self-esteem. Overwhelmed by injustice, tears well up in her eyes. She can't understand why her tireless efforts earn only scorn, belittlement, and utter disrespect. She flees the suffocating office, seeking solace from Nigel, the only colleague she trusts, pouring out her frustration and hurt to him. Even when I succeed, I never get recognition. Failures make me feel worthless. Instead of comfort, Nigel offers harsh reality. Otherwise, quit. There's a line out the door for this job anyway. You're just being dragged along, not truly passionate about the work, neither embracing the artistic vision nor the ethos of this company, nor willing to immerse yourself in this industry and its community. Naturally, you won't earn respect from peers, let alone the boss's approval. Your core problem is the lack of passion. At this moment, it clicked for Andy. She resolved to transform. With the designer's help, she shed her old wardrobe, embracing head-to-toe glamour and unapologetic confidence. The transformation stunned everyone. Colleagues did double takes. Even Miranda paused. She actually turned back for her, beyond the physical upgrade. Andy mastered the job. One day, when Miranda made another demand, Andy was ready, having anticipated the request. That time, Miranda finally acknowledged her, using her actual name, and assigned her to deliver the latest mock-up to Miranda's townhouse. Previously, only Emily as first assistant entered that sanctuary. Miranda guards her private, untrusted staff never got near. Clearly, Andy's standing had risen. His status has significantly improved. That evening, Andy arrived at the townhouse, but unfamiliar with the layout. She hesitated with the mock-up. Suddenly, the twins' voices echoed from upstairs. They lured Andy into Miranda's off-limit study. Unseen, Andy witnessed Miranda's marital explosion. Caught, she froze instead of retreating. She left the mock-up on the stairs. Miranda's expression, pure incredulity. But she made no critical remarks that night. The next day, she still hadn't brought up the past, only asking Andy to get her daughters an unpublished Harry Potter manuscript. It had to be delivered by 3 p.m. sharp. An impossible mission, no doubt. On top of that, Miranda demanded a steak within 15 minutes. Failure on either task meant packing up and leaving. Andy knew Miranda was setting her up, but professionalism kicked in immediately. She rushed out for the steak. Câlin publié en route. Predictably, all said no. When she returned with the steak, Miranda refused it, snidely reminding Andy about the manuscript. Andy snapped, dumping the steak in fury, and calling Nate to quit. Nate fully supported her, sensing she'd become a different person since taking the job, neglecting friends and loved ones, losing her smile, even clashing with friends over work. Yet despite saying she'd quit, Andy kept hustling. Luckily, hanging up with Nate, she got a miracle call. An editor friend miraculously secured the manuscript. Mission accomplished. But when delivering it, Miranda found fault. I need 2 copies. My twins can't share one book. Unbeknownst to her, Andy had already copied, bound, and delivered them to the twins. Andy executed this flawlessly, stunning even the exacting Miranda. Not a single flaw this time. He was beginning to see Annie in a new light. Annie left work early to celebrate her boyfriend's birthday. But just as she stepped out, Miranda summoned her back. Turns out there's a crucial charity gala tonight. Emily's down with a bad flu and can't handle it alone. So Annie must provide backup support. Their mission, constantly whisper reminders to Miranda about which executive is approaching her, so she can appear intimately familiar with them. Meaning they must memorize the entire guest list. With this impossible task, Annie had to bail on her boyfriend's birthday. At the gala, Emily, still battling illness, faltered, momentarily forgetting the approaching dignitary's name. But Annie saved the day by whispering the correct name, saving Miranda from public. After the gala, Annie rushed to salvage her boyfriend's birthday, only to run into the editor who'd scored her the Harry Potter manuscript. The charming, wealthy man clearly fancied her. But despite his invitation, Annie chose to head home. Clutching her little cupcake, she entered their apartment, to find her boyfriend silently brooding on a couch. She tried to break the icy silence, but he refused to engage, just brushing past her without a word. His devastation stemmed not from the missed birthday, but how the job was changing her into someone he no longer recognized. They were now worlds apart. Next evening, Annie delivered Miranda's clothes and books as usual. By now the routines had become second nature. He expertly hung the garments in their designated spot. He was about to place the book in his arms at the entrance and leave. But before he could set it down, Miranda stopped him. Annie nervously approached, still holding the book, though still impeccably dressed and put together. Without her signature makeup, Miranda revealed a more vulnerable side. She slowly took the book from Annie's hands, then delivered shocking news in a matter-of-fact tone. I'd like you to replace Emily at Paris Fashion Week, as Fashion Week is our most crucial event. I need my strongest team there. Clearly, Miranda now considered Annie more capable than Emily. But Annie felt no triumph. She knew attending Paris Fashion Week was Emily's lifelong dream, a goal Emily had tirelessly worked toward. Through rigorous study and physical discipline, she'd sacrificed everything for this opportunity. Yet Miranda dismissed these efforts as inconsequential. When Annie tried to decline, Miranda threatened her future journalism career. Refuse, and no respectable publication will hire you. Annie stood frozen, paralyzed by the impossible choice. After leaving the boss's house, she walked alone through the streets of New York. The glamour felt both within reach and whirled away. Next morning, Annie arrived early at the office. When Miranda entered and shrugged off her coat, Annie instinctively moved to take it. But Miranda simply gave a chilling smile. Before tossing her coat and purse onto Emily's desk, the desk belonged to whomever Miranda deemed less valuable. Before Annie could process this humiliation, Miranda ordered her to deliver the news to Emily personally. Facing the boss's overbearing demands, Annie reluctantly dialed Emily's number, while praying she wouldn't answer. But after just a few rings, Emily's voice came through. Emily was currently running the errands Annie used to do, lugging shopping bags through crowded streets. Annie stammered that she had news to share. But before she could speak, Emily was hit by a car. At the hospital, Annie had to break the harsh truth to Emily. Furious, Emily demanded why Annie hadn't refused outright, while shoveling forbidden chocolate into her mouth. With Paris off the table, her diet was over. She needed sweets to numb the bitterness inside. When Annie tried to console her, Emily shouted her away. "Emily, I said go." That night, Annie attended her friend's art exhibition. There she ran into her fashion editor acquaintance, exchanging warm pleasantries, who kissed Annie's cheek upon parting. Witnessed by Annie's close friend, who disapproved of Annie's new socialese, scolding why become what you used to despise, then stormed off angrily. Meanwhile, her boyfriend learned of Paris. Annie assumed he came to confront her, so she angrily exited the gallery. He followed, and Annie insisted she had no choice about Paris. It wasn't her decision. But he countered, "You chose all of this." Their pent-up frustrations exploded as clashing values finally shattered their long-term relationship. Annie initiated the breakup, and her boyfriend didn't stop her. Just then, the boss's phone rang again. Her boyfriend said, "The people you pick up for when they call, that's who you really care about." At that moment, Annie's life completely fell apart. It reminded her of what the designer once told her. When your personal life goes up in smoke, that's when you know your job is on track. Annie's career did start to soar. She followed her boss to Paris to attend the fashion week everyone in the industry dreams of. There, she crossed social boundaries, meeting countless celebrities and luxury designers. She went from being stiff and reserved to blending perfectly into every conversation. After the gala, Annie went to her boss's hotel. But the moment she entered, she froze in shock. Without makeup, her boss looked gaunt and fragile. It was the first time Annie had seen her like this. She never imagined the woman who demanded perfection from toenails to hair, always decisive, would show vulnerability to anyone. Only after talking did Annie learn. Her boss's husband was divorcing her. Another husband walking out. Her scandal would dominate gossip columns' front pages again. Even the headlines, she could already picture them. But she didn't care about the ridicule or sarcasm. She just wanted to shield her daughters from the fallout. As she spoke, her eyes reddened and her voice cracked. Annie wanted to offer comfort, but her boss quickly reined in the emotion and put her cold mask back on. She had work to handle. Family matters were irrelevant between career and life. She'd chosen long ago. After work the next evening, Annie accepted the editor's date invitation. They dined, drank wine, and took a stroll together. On the streets of Paris, the editor initiated a kiss. Annie tried to rationalize with excuses, but ultimately followed her heart and took the next morning, Annie unexpectedly learned from the editor that at tonight's gala, the magazine's owner would announce Miranda's replacement by someone younger, simply because that person could produce the magazine cheaper, as cost-cutting reigned supreme for businessmen. Even though this magazine embodies Miranda's life's work, even though its influence is entirely her creation, businessmen would still follow the scent of money and replace her without hesitation. Hearing this, Andy couldn't stay silent. She urgently tried calling her boss with the news, but each call was cut off impatiently before she could speak. Even when she rushed to the hotel, the boss dismissed her, claiming to be too busy. At the gala entrance, she confronted the boss, but after hearing the news, the boss remained unfazed, leaving Annie baffled, until the boss addressed the gathering. That's when she witnessed true mastery, experienced triumphs. Not only was the boss not replaced, but she instantly reassigned the rumored successor. This new position was promised to Nigel, who dedicated 18 years to earning it. Years spent serving the boss faithfully, dreaming of his own platform. Tonight, he believed he'd even invited Annie for a celebratory toast. Yet now, he became collateral damage in her power play. The designer was devastated, forcing out a strained smile, while muttering to himself that he'd make it up to me someday. Though deep down he knew that day might never come. After the gala, Miranda revealed her power play to Andy in the car, explaining she'd caught wind of her impending replacement. First, she'd offered the rumored successor, a dream position beyond their wildest expectations, removing them from contention. Then she presented the publisher with a list of top editors, making it clear, replace me, and my entire loyal team walks. This strategic maneuver secured her position. Miranda then acknowledged Andy's concern, thanking her for attempting to warn her, adding, "You remind me of myself at your age." She invited Andy to join her in the corporate battles ahead. But Andy countered, "We're nothing alike. I'd never sacrifice someone to save myself." Miranda retorted, "When you outperformed Emily, you did exactly that." With that, Miranda slid on her sunglasses and flashed her signature corporate smile, stepping into the flashing cameras she craved. Andy exited the car behind her, but didn't follow this time. After a beat, she turned the opposite way. When Miranda's phone summoned her, she didn't instantly answer. Instead, she smiled and tossed the coveted device into a Parisian fountain. In that moment, she knew this glittering life wasn't for her. She refused to lose herself and those she loved to this job. She chose to prioritize her personal life over work, unlike her boss. After returning home, she reverted to her former simple self. She then interviewed at her dream newspaper. To her, "During your background check, I received a personal fax from your former boss." Annie's heart sank upon hearing this. As their parting of ways hadn't been amicable, she feared the boss would badmouth her, only to learn that she'd given her a glowing recommendation. Leaving the interview, Annie passed by the very place where it all began. She first called Emily, intending to give her the clothes brought back from Paris, knowing how much Emily regretted missing Paris, hoping these would offer some consolation. After hanging up, Annie spotted her former boss exiting the building opposite, still impeccably dressed and walking with her characteristic brisk pace. When their eyes met, Annie smiled and waved. The boss merely glanced at her coldly, before removing her sunglasses and stepping into the car. Amused, Annie remarked to herself that the woman hadn't changed a bit, but little did she know that the was watching her retreating figure with a rare, gratified smile.